First contact and confrontation. The klaxon's wail shattered the routine hum of the UES Vigilance Bridge. Captain Elara Reed looked up from her command console, coffee forgotten in her hand as the liquid sloshed over the rim. She set it down with practiced efficiency and stood, her posture immediately shifting to alert readiness. "Report," she demanded, moving to the center of the bridge. Lieutenant Marcus Chen, her tactical officer, was already analyzing the incoming data, his expression grave. "Unknown vessel, Captain. It just dropped out of FTL at the edge of the Arcturus system. Configuration doesn't match anything in our database." Reed nodded, her expression calm despite the adrenaline surging through her veins. The Vigilant was humanity's frontline defensive vessel, tasked with patrolling the borders of Earth Alliance territory. First contact scenarios were always possible, but this ship's sudden appearance directly in their patrol route suggested it hadn't simply stumbled upon them. "On screen," she ordered. The main view screen flickered to life, revealing a vessel that sent a wave of unease through the bridge crew. Unlike the practical lines of Earth ships, this craft resembled something organic yet predatory. Its hull was a deep crimson that seemed to pulse with internal energy, with protruding structures that resembled both tentacles and weapon arrays. "Size comparison," Reed requested. "Approximately twice our mass," Chen replied, his fingers flying over his console. "And their energy signature. It's unlike anything I've seen. Power output exceeds our charts." Dr. Naomi Okada, the ship's xenolinguist and first contact specialist, had arrived on the bridge, her expression a mixture of professional curiosity and concern. "Are they transmitting anything?" "Nothing on standard frequencies," replied Communications Officer Jamal Ibrahim. "I'm broadcasting our first contact protocol on all channels." Reed's mind raced through their options. The Vigilant carried significant defensive capabilities. Earth wasn't naive enough to send its people into the void unarmed. But if this vessel had hostile intentions, they might be outmatched. "Hold position," she ordered. "Continue broadcasting. Let's not make any moves that could be interpreted as aggressive." The bridge crew worked in focused silence for several long minutes. Then Ibrahim straightened suddenly. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission." "Put it through," Reed said, unconsciously straightening her uniform jacket. The view screen shifted, revealing a being that defied easy classification. It appeared vaguely humanoid but with silvery skin that reflected light like polished metal. Multiple eyes, Reed counted 6, were arranged asymmetrically across what she assumed was its face. When it spoke, its mouth didn't move. Instead, light patterns pulsed across its surface. "You have been detected in restricted space," came the translated voice, flat and mechanical through the computer. "This system is now under quarantine by decree of the Myriad Collective. You will surrender your vessel or be cleansed." Reed kept her expression neutral. "I am Captain Elara Reed of the United Earth Ship Vigilant. We are on a routine patrol of established human territory. We have no record of this system being claimed by any other species. If there has been a misunderstanding, we are open to peaceful dialogue." The alien's eyes pulse with increasing intensity. "Your ignorance of galactic law does not exempt you from its consequences. Your species is unknown to us. Your technology is primitive, yet you venture where you should not. This suggests either deception or recklessness." Reed felt a flash of irritation, but maintained her diplomatic tone. "We are neither deceptive nor reckless. We are simply protecting our established territories. If there is a territorial dispute, we can arrange for diplomatic representatives to." Negotiation period concluded. The alien interrupted. "Your vessel will be examined. Your technology assessed. Your biology cataloged. Prepare for boarding." The transmission cut abruptly, and Reed's diplomatic expression hardened into determination. "Red alert. Battle stations," she ordered calmly. "Helm, prepare for evasive maneuvers. Tactical, ready all defensive systems." The crew moved with practiced precision. The Vigilant might be outgunned, but they weren't surrendering without a fight. "They're powering weapons," Chen reported, his voice tight. Energy readings suggest directed plasma technology far more advanced than our own. Reed nodded grimly. Let them fire first. I want the record to be clear. The alien ship launched a blinding beam of energy that scorched past the Vigilance bow, a warning shot that left superheated plasma in its wake. Evasive pattern Delta, Reed ordered. Return fire. The Vigilant surged into motion, its thrusters firing at maximum as it dove beneath the alien vessel's position. Their own weapons, a combination of railguns and fusion-tipped missiles, struck the alien hull but seemed to dissipate against invisible barriers. Minimal impact, Chen reported. Their shields absorbed most of the energy. Keep firing, Reed ordered. Target their weapon emplacements specifically. Helm, keep us moving. Use the system's asteroid field for cover if necessary. What followed was less a battle than a desperate dance. The Vigilant was more maneuverable, but the alien vessel's weapons were devastatingly powerful. Each near miss sent systems overloading across the ship. Shields at 47%, reported Chief Engineer Lian Zhao from her station. One more direct hit, and we're in serious trouble, Captain. Reed studied the tactical display, mind racing. They couldn't win this fight conventionally, but she hadn't risen to command through conventional thinking. Helm, set course for the system's gas giant, she ordered abruptly. Lieutenant Sophia Mendez at the helm turned to look at her, confusion evident. The gas giant, Captain. Trust me, Lieutenant. Full impulse. Understanding dawned on Chen's face. The magnetic field and radiation belts. Reed nodded. And the atmospheric density. Our sensors show massive storm systems in the upper atmosphere. The alien vessel pursued as the Vigilant raced toward the enormous ringed planet, gravitational shields engaging as they plunged toward the swirling clouds. Entering upper atmosphere in 30 seconds, Mendez announced, voice tight with tension, alien vessel still in pursuit. Prepare to execute a tight turn on my mark, Reed ordered. We'll use the storm front to our advantage. The bridge was bathed in the amber glow of the gas giant's atmosphere filling their view screen. Pressure warnings blared across multiple stations. Now, Reed commanded. The Vigilant turned sharply, engines straining as the ship dipped deeper into the atmosphere before pulling up at an angle, leaving a trail of superheated gas in its wake. Behind them, a massive storm front raged, lightning bolts larger than the ship itself crackling between cloud layers. Alien vessel following our exact trajectory, Chen reported. They're not familiar with gas giant navigation. That's our opening, Reed said. Tactical, what's the status of Project Helix? Chen's eyes widened. The experimental weapon. It's untested in field conditions, Captain. Then today we test it, Reed replied, her decision made. Prepare to deploy on my mark. The alien weapon fired again, the deadly beam slicing through the turbulent atmosphere toward the Vigilant's vulnerable hull. As destruction seemed imminent, Reed allowed herself a small smile. Humanity had always been at its best when faced with impossible odds. Activate Project Helix, she ordered. Chen's fingers flew across his console. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then a focused beam of coherent energy erupted from the Vigilant's main deflector, not aimed at the enemy vessel, but at the storm system directly behind it. The concentrated energy supercharged the already volatile storm clouds. Lightning coalesced into a massive electrical surge that engulfed the alien vessel. Its shields, designed to deflect direct energy weapons, couldn't compensate for the natural planetary forces suddenly amplified to unnatural levels. Direct hit, Chen exclaimed. Their shields are fluctuating. All weapons, fire, Reed ordered. Target their primary propulsion systems. The Vigilant's weapon systems unleashed everything they had. This time, their attacks penetrated the weakened defenses, striking the alien vessel's vulnerable spots with surgical precision. The enemy ship listed in the turbulent atmosphere, energy patterns flickering across its hull. For a moment, victory seemed within reach, but Reed knew better than to underestimate their opponent. The alien vessel righted itself, damaged but far from defeated. It turned its remaining weapons toward the Vigilant, no longer content with warnings or disabling shots. Evasive maneuvers, Reed ordered, but she knew they'd pushed their advantage as far as it would go. A massive energy beam struck the Vigilant's starboard side. The ship shuddered violently as multiple stations exploded in cascades of sparks. Shields down to 18%, Zhao reported, her voice remarkably steady as she rerouted power. Hull breaches on decks 3 through 5. Emergency force fields holding. Reed gripped the arms of her command chair. They'd managed to wound a superior opponent, a testament to human ingenuity and the skill of her crew. But it wasn't enough. "They're charging weapons again," Chen reported grimly. "Energy readings are even higher than before." Reed looked around at her crew, these brave men and women who had followed her into the unknown. They returned her gaze with determination, not defeat. Humanity hadn't reached the stars by surrendering when the odds turned against them. "Ibrahim, open a channel to Earth Command," she ordered. "Priority message with all our data on this encounter." "Channel open," he confirmed seconds later. "This is Captain Ilara Reed of the UES Vigilant," she began, her voice steady. "We've engaged a hostile alien vessel in the Arcturus system. Unknown species, highly advanced technology. We've sustained significant damage, but have also identified potential vulnerabilities in their systems." She paused, watching as the alien vessel completed its weapons charge. "We're preparing for a final engagement. If we don't make it back, make sure our findings reach the fleet. The Vigilant may fall, but humanity must stand." As she closed the channel, Reed turned to her tactical officer. "Chen, what's the status of the quantum fold device?" Chen's eyes widened. "The experimental technology. It's completely untested beyond simulations, Captain." "Then today we test it," Reed replied, her decision made. "Prepare to deploy on my mark." The alien weapon fired, the deadly beam racing toward the Vigilant's vulnerable hull. But as darkness seemed certain, Reed allowed herself a small smile. The most powerful force in the universe wasn't advanced technology. It was the human spirit in the face of impossible odds. "Activate quantum fold," she ordered. "Now." Humanity's ingenuity and resolution. Lieutenant Chen's fingers flew across his console with practiced speed. For a single heartbeat, nothing happened. Then reality itself seemed to bend around the Vigilant. The quantum fold device, humanity's most closely guarded technological secret, activated with a surge of power that dimmed lights across the ship. The device didn't generate a shield in the conventional sense. Instead, it created a localized distortion in space-time, folding the fabric of reality around the ship like origami. The alien weapon struck the fold and vanished, not deflected or absorbed, but redirected through the quantum distortion to emerge behind the alien vessel itself, striking its own source with devastating precision. "Direct hit on enemy vessel," Chen reported, unable to keep the astonishment from his voice. "They've taken significant damage to their rear quadrant." The alien ship listed in the gas giant's turbulent atmosphere, energy fluctuations cascading across its hull like lightning. Systems that had been damaged by the storm were now critically compromised by their own weapon. "The fold is collapsing," Zhao warned from engineering. "Power reserves critical. We can't maintain it for another shot." Reed nodded grimly. They had one chance to press their advantage. "All weapons, target their propulsion systems. Helm, bring us around for a clear shot." The Vigilant surged forward, its remaining weapons systems locked on the wounded alien vessel. But before they could fire, something unexpected happened. "Captain, they're broadcasting," Ibrahim reported, surprise evident in his voice. On screen, Reed ordered, wary of a trick. The alien being appeared once more, but its silvery surface was now marred with dark fractures, light patterns pulsing irregularly across its form. "You have surprised us," it said, the translation coming through in broken fragments. "Your technology is not as primitive as we assessed. We offer Cessation of hostilities. Reed's eyes narrowed. You attacked us without provocation and demanded our surrender. Why should I trust your offer now? The alien's form rippled, perhaps their version of a gesture. Because knowledge is more valuable than destruction. You have demonstrated worth. Reed exchanged glances with her officers. This wasn't the surrender or retreat she'd expected. I'm listening, she said cautiously. We are scouts, the alien continued. Advance force of the Myriad Collective. We assess species capabilities. Those found lacking are cleansed. Those with potential are evaluated further. You mean you're testing us? Reed asked, anger evident in her voice despite her diplomatic training. This was all some sort of cosmic evaluation. All species must prove their right to exist among stars. The alien replied. Many are dangerous, uncontrolled, destructive. The collective maintains order. Dr. Okada stepped forward. Captain, this matches some theoretical xenosociological models. Advanced species often develop systems to regulate first contact with emerging civilizations. So they attack us to see if we're worthy of talking to. Reed asked incredulously. Not worthy of talking, the alien corrected. Worthy of surviving. Your solution was unexpected, using planetary forces as weapon, redirecting our own attack. These show innovation. Reed considered the implications. And now what? You report back that we passed your test. The alien's form pulsed more rapidly. Situation has changed. Our vessel is damaged beyond self-repair capability. Our assessment is incomplete. Understanding dawned on Reed. You need our help. Cooperation would be mutually beneficial, the alien acknowledged. We possess knowledge of many species, territories, threats. You possess unusual approach to problems. Reed muted the transmission and turned to her officers. Opinions? It could be a trap, Chen warned immediately. Or the greatest opportunity for technological advancement in human history, countered Zhao. Their systems are far beyond our own. Dr. Okada nodded thoughtfully. This is unprecedented first contact protocol, but their explanation has internal consistency. If they truly are an advanced scouting force for a larger collective, establishing peaceful relations could be crucial. Reed unmuted the transmission. Before we discuss any cooperation, I need to understand your intentions. What happens if we help you repair your vessel? Will you simply resume your assessment of humanity? The alien's form stabilized slightly. Assessment is already complete. You have demonstrated resource utilization, tactical adaptation, and technological innovation beyond expected parameters. The collective will not cleanse your species. How reassuring, Reed remarked dryly. And what about other human colonies and vessels? Are they subject to similar tests? Your designation will be updated in collective archives. No further initial assessments will be conducted against your species. This is standard protocol. Reed took a deep breath. The diplomatic implications were enormous, but she had to make a decision with limited information, as was often the case in space exploration. We will render assistance, she finally said, under specific conditions. Our engineers will work with yours on repairs. In exchange, you will share navigational data on surrounding space, including territories claimed by other species, and you will provide a detailed explanation of your collective structure and protocols for our diplomatic course. The alien being seemed to consider this for a moment. Acceptable terms. We will comply. Over the next several days, a cautious cooperation emerged between the crews. The alien vessel, which they learned was called something translating roughly to evaluation construct, contained only 12 beings, all identical to the one they'd first communicated with. They called themselves the Valzeran, one of 17 species that made up the Myriad Collective. Chief Engineer Zhao worked directly with the aliens, her initial wariness giving way to professional fascination. The Valzaran propulsion system operated on principles that human science had only theorized about, manipulating quantum fields to create localized distortions in space-time. "It's remarkable," she told Reed during one of their daily briefings. "Their approach to physics is fundamentally different from ours. They see space itself as malleable, rather than something to push against. But they're equally impressed by our adaptive engineering. Apparently, most species they encounter have rigid technological paradigms." Dr. Okada had made similar progress in understanding their social structure. "The collective isn't exactly an empire," she explained. "It's more like a regulatory body. They don't claim territory for resources or expansion. They maintain buffer zones between potentially hostile species and ensure technological development doesn't threaten galactic stability." "By attacking less advanced species?" Reed asked skeptically. "From their perspective, it's efficient," Okada replied. "They believe species that can't defend against a single scout vessel would inevitably be conquered or destroyed when they encountered the wider galactic community. They see it as merciful." Reed shook her head. "There's nothing merciful about it, but we need to understand their thinking if we're going to navigate this new reality." On the 7th day, repairs to both vessels were nearing completion. Reed met with the Valzaran representative, which they had taken to calling emissary, for simplicity, on the Vigilance observation deck. "Your assistance has been efficient," the emissary stated. "Our systems will achieve full operational capacity within your Earth day." Reed nodded. "And the navigational data you promised?" The emissary extended a limb, offering a crystalline device. "This contains star charts for 17 sectors surrounding your territory. Species designations, cultural assessments, technological capabilities, and territorial boundaries are included." Reed accepted the device. "And your report to the collective, what will it say about humanity?" The emissary's form rippled, and what they had learned was an expression of consideration. "That your species possesses unusual adaptability. That your technological development follows unpredictable patterns. That you demonstrate resourcefulness when confronted with superior force." It paused, lights pulsing across its surface, "and that you chose to render aid to those who had attacked you. This behavior is rare." "Compassion isn't weakness," Reed said firmly. "It's one of humanity's greatest strengths." "Perhaps," the emissary acknowledged. "The collective will debate this assessment. In 10 of your years, a formal delegation will be sent to establish permanent diplomatic relations. Until then, your species will be designated as emergent but significant." Reed couldn't help but smile at the clinical classification. "We have our own designation for species like yours," she said. "What designation?" "Potential allies," Reed replied. "Despite our difficult introduction." The emissary's form shifted in what might have been surprise. "You continue to deviate from expected responses. This is why your species may thrive among the stars. Most respond with predictable patterns: aggression, submission, isolation. You demonstrate alternative approaches." As the emissary prepared to depart, it turned back to Reed with one final observation. "The device you deployed, the quantum manipulation technology, it should not have been possible with your current scientific understanding. How did your species achieve this advancement?" Reed smiled. "We imagined it first, in stories, in dreams. Then we worked to make it real. That's how humans have always done things." The emissary's lights pulsed rapidly. "Imagination as precursor to innovation. Interesting. The collective will find humans challenging to categorize." "Good," Reed said. "We prefer it that way." After the Valzaran vessel departed, Reed recorded her final log entry on the encounter. "First contact with the Myriad Collective has been established under less than ideal circumstances," she dictated. "While their methods are questionable by our ethical standards, they represent a significant power in our region of space. The navigational data they've provided will advance our understanding of galactic politics by decades." Most importantly, we've demonstrated that humanity can hold its own against technologically superior forces through innovation and adaptability. Our response to their aggression, meeting force with ingenuity, then offering cooperation instead of continued conflict, has apparently made an impression. As we expand further into the stars, we'll undoubtedly face more tests, more challenges to our right to exist in this crowded galaxy. But today has proven what I've always believed. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our resourcefulness, though those are significant. It's our capacity to surprise, to defy expectations, and to find common ground even with those who came as enemies. The stars are full of wonders and terrors beyond our imagination, but humanity is ready to face them all, not because we're the strongest or the most advanced, but because we refuse to be categorized or limited by anyone's expectations but our own. As the Vigilant set course for Earth, Captain Reed looked out at the stars streaming past the observation window. The galaxy was bigger and more complex than humanity had imagined, filled with powers and protocols they were only beginning to understand. But today had proven that they belonged out here among the stars, not because some alien collective deemed them worthy, but because they had demonstrated the uniquely human blend of ingenuity, adaptability, and compassion that would define their place in the galactic community. Humanity had faced its first major extraterrestrial challenge and emerged not just intact, but recognized. Whatever came next, they would face it the same way they had always faced the unknown, with determination, creativity, and the unshakable belief that they belonged among the stars.